Okay, welcome back to our lesson today, the continuation of the previous lesson on intervals. Now, the music theory intervals continuation part 2 by joellukamasia. Now, in the previous lesson, we were talking about describing intervals. And we are talking about intervals may be regarded as either major, minor, perfect, augmented, or diminished. And we also say that major intervals are those of the second, the third, the sixth, the seventh. And minor intervals are formed when a major interval is reduced by a semitone, and they are those of the second, the third, the sixth, and the seventh. And the perfect intervals were those of the fourth, fifth, and octaves. We also talked about diminished intervals and augmented intervals, and we say that diminished intervals are formed by reducing the size of minor or a perfect interval by a semitone. And also talked about augmented being formed by increasing the size of either the major or the perfect intervals by a semitone. So we were talking about intervals, just introducing ourselves to intervals. Now in this lesson, we want to move on describing the intervals. An interval can be described using numerical numbers, e.g. second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. That's how you describe an interval. You can say this is a fifth, is a second, or is a third, or is a fourth. And this is done by counting interval steps from the root note to the top note. For example, when you look at the image you have here, you're having from here, from the G here, this is a G, from G to D. So you just count G, the line 1, then the space 2, the line 3, then the space 4, then the line 5. That's how we get this interval to be a fifth. Or you can count using the letters of the scale. For example, it's G, A, B, C, D. Now from G to D it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's good to use both the scale and the staff. So the staff 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, counting the lines and the spaces. So the first line is the 1, the space is 2, the second line is 3, the space is 4, and then we have the next line is 5. So the interval, you can say from G to D, the interval distance is a fifth. Remember, the root note is the one that is below. This one that is below, the below note, we call it the root note. Now, the actual distance of an interval is calculated. Now, going now to the actual distance. You want to know the real distance of an interval can be calculated using tones and semitones. Now, you remember you're talking about calculating using counting numerical numbers, but you use also tones and semitones. Now, two semitones make one tone. So a semitone plus a semitone, it gives you one tone. It means a half plus a half gives you one. So a tone is made up of two semitones. Now, I'm going also to introduce you for a formula of calculating intervals. Remember, now you're calculating now using the numerical numbers and tones and semitones. Now, by using the scale of C natural major, I love using the C natural major scale and a piano keyboard doing this. It really helps me, and I believe it will also help you. Now, the C major scale from C to C, we have 8 steps. Now, from C to D, that is a tone. From D to E, that is a tone. E to F, that is a semitone. Tone, 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 and semitone. Most of the intervals will fall. Most of the perfect, this scale is used to helping us finding the major intervals and perfect intervals. Now, for example, from C to D, we can say that is a major second because it has what? A tone. We'll talk about that one later. And on piano here, you can easily know the distance of a tone. For example, from C to this note is C sharp. From this white C to this C sharp, the distance is too little. So it is a semitone. From C sharp to D, semitone. From D to this was D sharp, semitone, like that. Then here is a semitone. Since here there is no black, from E to F, there is no black key, the distance is a semitone. So you can also use this piano keyboard to help us calculate the interval distance of a pitch, of the distance between an interval. Now, intervals quality. Major intervals. We say major intervals, they have one tone or two semitones. Let me show you. For example, a major second has one tone or two semitones. Let us go back to the now major second. We say that it has a one tone or two semitones. Look, for example, in this formula from C to D, it is a major second, so it has one tone. It has one tone or two semitones. From on the piano, you'll from C you'll go to C sharp, that is a semitone. Then from C sharp to D, that is another semitone. When you add them, they give you what? A tone. So a major second has to have one tone. A major third, we say that it has two tones or four semitones. A major third should always have two tones or four semitones. Let us see how to calculate them. For example, from C to E, we are being told a major third should have how many? Two tones or four semitones. So C to C sharp to E to D sharp to E, we should have two tones. So from C to C sharp, that is a semitone. From C sharp to D, another semitone, that is one tone. From D to D sharp is a semitone. From D sharp to E, another semitone. Those are two tones. Those are two tones. Then the same applies to major 6. Major 6 has 4.5 tones or 9 semitones. From C to A, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So a sixth. Then we have to be told that major 6 should have 4.5 semitones. Now from C to D, tone. Then D to E, tone. Those are two tones. Then E to F, a semitone. So that's 2.5. F to G, 3.5. Then G to A, 4.5. So a major 6 should have 4.5 semitones or 4.5 tones or 9 semitones. Sorry, 4.5 tones or 9 semitones. Major 7th, we are being told it has 5.5 tones or 11 semitones. For example, an example for major 7th will be, for example, from C to B. That is tone, tone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then tone, tone. Those are 2, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. Or 5.5 tones or 11 semitones. Or 11 semitones. Now, let us look, for example, minor intervals. Minor intervals are being told. Minor intervals, on our previous lesson, we learned that we find them by reducing a major interval by a semitone. For example, here we have a major second has one tone or two semitones, and a minor interval will have a half a tone. It is one tone, a half a tone on one semitone. So a minor interval is formed by reducing a major interval by a semitone. Now here we have a major third, which has two tones or four semitones. A minor third will have 1.5 tones or 3 semitones. A major sixth has 4.5 tones stroke 9 semitones. A minor sixth will have 4 tones and or 8 semitones. A major seventh will have 5.5, while a minor seventh will have 5 tones or 10 semitones. Just remember that a minor interval is formed when a major interval is reduced by a semitone. If you did not watch my previous lesson, please watch them so that you can get the background how we are getting to here. Now, for example, these are examples of major intervals. For example, the staff. Now, on the treble clef, for example, here is G to A. This is a major second. We call it a major, for example, G to A, a major second, and I will prove to you why it's a major second just now. For example, G to A major second has to have how many tones? A major second is supposed to have 1 tone or 2 semitones, and G to A has 1 tone, so that is a major second. So that's how we are using. On a piano keyboard, G is here and A is here. So G to G sharp is a semitone. From G sharp to A, another semitone. Those 2 semitones you add together, they give you what? A tone. And we say that a major second, from, for example, from C to D is a major second. It is supposed to have a tone. So G to A is also a major second. Now, these are knowledge applies to all of these. For example, a major third A major third we know is supposed to have two tones. So for example, from here we have F to A. F to A, the interval is supposed to have two tones to make it a major third. Major third has two tones or four semitones. So F to A, we have F is a tone, then from G to A there's another tone, so it's a major third. On the piano, F is here, F to F sharp semitone, F sharp to G semitone, that is a tone. From G to G sharp a semitone, from G sharp to A another semitone. Those are two tones, and this applies to everything that you're doing. A major six, you're being told a major six is supposed to have 4.5 tones. So a major six, you have C to A. C to A is supposed to have 4.5 semitones. Let us see if C to A has 4.5 semitones. It has tone, tone, semitone, tone, tone. These are 4 semitone and a half a semitone. So 4 and 1 semitone. So 4.5 tones. Then the last one, you have major seventh. For example, this is G to F sharp. G to F sharp. Now this is a good one, at least can challenge us. G to F sharp. How do you now know G to F sharp? For example, here is G. G to F sharp, you're being told a major 7 should have tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone, 5.5. So you will count from the piano G here to this F sharp and see how many are they. From G to F sharp, how many tones are there? So from G to A, that is a tone. G to A is a tone, even here it's a tone. A to B is another tone, A to B, so that are the two tones. B to C is a semitone here, so we have 2.5 semitones. C to D, that is a tone. D, those are 3.5. D to E, another tone, that's a 4.5. Then we have F, E, we are not going to F, we are going to E to F sharp. So you have E to F, it's a semitone, F to F sharp, another semitone. I hope you're gotten. So it makes a tone. So that's how we are getting 5.5 semitones. So if you remember from here, E to F sharp, E to F is a semitone because there's no black key here. So E to F is a semitone, then from F to F sharp, another semitone. So we are totally having a total of 5.5 semitones, giving us a major seventh. Yeah, remember with the minor intervals, you have just to do the same by reducing the major interval by a semitone. So with a minor interval, remember always to reduce a major interval by a semitone, you are getting a minor interval. Now, for example, here we have a minor second and we are having it from G to A. Oh, sorry. Not a minor, not here. Sorry, here. Now we are having here, for example, a minor second from B to C. Sorry. So we're having a minor second from B to C. Let us confirm if that distance is the same. Because with a minor second, we are supposed to have a half a tone or one semitone. So let us confirm if from B to C is a semitone. When looking at our formula here, from B to C, you have discovered it is a semitone. And when looking at the piano keyboard, we have B here to C. There is no black key in between. So the distance here is a semitone. So from B to C is a semitone. That makes it a minor second. A major second has one tone. A major second has one tone, but a minor second has a semitone. So from B to C is a second. So it's a minor second. Major third, not major third. Let us go to minor third. Minor third from A to G is a minor third. So let us, a minor third, we are being told should have 1.5 semitone, because a major third has 2 semitones, 4 semitones. No, a major third has 2 tones, and a minor third will have 1.5 tones or 3 semitones. So let us confirm from E to G. E to G from this table, when you look at it, E to F is a semitone, F to G it's a tone, so it's 1.5 tones or 3 semitones. So E to G is a minor third because it has 1.5. A major third, for example, from C to E has 2 tones. So a minor third has been reduced by a semitone. That's why it's having 1.5 tones. So from E to G here, from E to F is a semitone, From F to F sharp, another semitone, it makes a tone. Then from F sharp to G is a semitone, so it becomes 1.5 tones. Then we have minor sixth. Minor sixth, for example, here we have an F to D flat. So it's a minor sixth. That is a minor sixth. A minor sixth should have 4 tones or 8 semitones. So let us confirm from F to D flat. F is here to D flat here. So from F to G, that one is a tone. G to A is a tone. A to B is a tone. Those are 3 tones. Then B to C semitone. Semitone to B. C to D flat. We have another semitone. Those are 4 tones. So we have 4 tones or 8 semitones. So a minor sixth should have 8 semitones or 4 tones. And finally, let us talk about the major minor seventh. What a major minor seventh? The minor seventh here we have from G to F. A minor seventh should have 5 tones or 10 semitones. A minor seventh should have 5 tones or 10 semitones. Looking at our formula here, we're being told from G to F. G to F here. So from G to A, a tone. A to B, tone. B to C, semitone, so 2.5. C to D, tone. D to E, tone. E to F, semitone. When you add them, you will find that you have 5 tones or 10 semitones. So just remember that a minor interval is formed when reducing a major interval by a semitone. And if you increase a minor interval by a semitone, it becomes a major interval. Let's go on and talk about perfect intervals. Now, perfect intervals, we are being told that we have the fourth, the fifth, and the octave. The perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and perfect octave. And perfect fourth should have 2.5 tones or 5 semitones. Perfect fifth should have 3.5 tones or 6 semitones. And octave should have 12 tones or 6 tones or 12 semitones. Let us confirm on the piano keyboard on the formula here. So a perfect fourth here should have 2 tones, 2.5 tone, tone, and semitone. A perfect fifth, for example, from C to G is a perfect fifth, so it should have 2 tones, 3.5 semitone. So, and a perfect octave should have all of these, that tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. When you add them together, they become 12. So a perfect octave should have 12 semitones or 6 tones. And for example, you have an example of G to C. G to C is a perfect fourth. Why is it a perfect fourth? It's a perfect fourth because a perfect fourth should have 2.5 semitones. So from G to C, you have a tone, tone, and semitone. On a piano, it's here, G is here, and C is here. When you calculate this distance, you'll find that it has 2.5 tones. And the same thing, knowledge is applied to all of the other intervals. That is the perfect fifth and the perfect octave. For example, you have C to G, that is a perfect fifth. You've already seen it has 3.5 semitones, 3.5 tones, which is 6 semitones, and then a perfect octave that from here is F to F, which has 12 semitones or 6 tones. So I've come to the end of the lesson today, but we'll continue keep on continuing. The next lesson will be on augmented and diminished intervals. So remember, you're still doing intervals, and the next lesson will be talking about augmented and diminished intervals and how we are describing them and the interval distance between the notes. So if you have any question, please leave it on the comments side below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for being with me and for watching this lesson. Thank you so much.